Welcome back into the Motor Index, folks. Today we are discussing all things Joe Gibbs Racing. Specifically, is Denny Hamlin the championship favorite in the NASCAR Cup Series? And how does the state of Joe Gibbs Racing currently factor into that potentially coming to fruition? We're going to get to all of that here today. I think there's a lot of information we got to get to cover and context to, apply to all this information because I think it's a really interesting situation over there because, you know, you go back a year ago, Joe Gibbs Racing was right in the midst of a long winless streak. I believe it was New Hampshire last year when Christopher Bell won. From there till, I believe, was it the Coda race, the second race of this, or no, it was the Atlanta race this spring, when Bell won, with whatever, or with that caution coming out, whatever. From that New Hampshire race till that Atlanta race, Gibbs won 0 races. Joe Gibbs Racing won 0 races in that stretch, which is kind of wild to think about. But since then, they have gotten wildly hot. So it is 8 wins in the Cup Series this year, 4 for Denny Hamlin, 3 for Christopher Bell, and 1 for Chase Briscoe. And I do think potentially we might get to see Ty Gibbs's first win of this season. Or of his career, I mean. We will see. But I'm not sure the speed's there yet. But we're not going to start with Ty Gibbs. We're going to start with Denny Hamlin. Is Denny Hamlin the title favorite at the moment? I am saying emphatically yes. I think so. And I'm going to give several reasons why I think so. Obviously, he's won 4 races this year. Those coming at Martinsville, Darlington, Michigan, and Dover. And say what you will, those are 4 extremely challenging ovals. Say what you want about Dover and whatever, but I don't know, that is not the easiest racetrack in the world for sure. And we all know how difficult Martinsville, Darlington, and Michigan are. The best drivers rise to the occasion when it matters most. How am I trying to say this? The best drivers rise to the top when things get hardest, and clearly when things get the most difficult, Denny Hamlin is the one rising to the top. But here's the other thing. There are 4 other races that Denny Hamlin either finished second or was damn close to winning. Let's go through those. Those were, I thought I had it written down here. His close calls were the Daytona 500 when he was wrecked from the front of the field on the final lap. I don't remember exactly where he finished there, but was a half lap from winning the Daytona 500. Then Phoenix loses a photo finish to Christopher Bell. Bristol finishes second when I believe that was a Kyle Larson domination, if I'm remembering correctly, but does finish second. Obviously, Bristol's probably Hamlin's best racetrack. Has not got it done the past 2 times, but I believe prior to that was 2 or 3 straight there for Hamlin. Comes home second, and then Pocono finishes second to Chase Briscoe. It's actually kind of crazy. 3 of those he lost to his team. Well, I guess not Bristol, but 2 of those he lost to his teammate. So it does prove when Gibbs as a whole has speed, Hamlin is not screwing that up. Say what you will about a second place finish, but that's really good, all things considered. But the point is, Denny Hamlin could have 8 Cup wins by this point, which is crazy to think about, especially crazy to think about when coming into this year, a lot of the talk was, is Denny Hamlin finished? Is Denny Hamlin cooked? And I was kind of rolling my eyes at a lot of that talk. I thought it was pretty wild that was even being discussed. Though I completely get, the age is a factor, but he's only 42, 43, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see anything coming into the year to say Denny Hamlin was going to fall off or anything. I mean, yeah, you could maybe point to Gibbs's winless streak, but look at how he was running. It wasn't like he was running bad, at all. He was competitive the whole time. So is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's weird. But I think we got to also point to put broader context to why this season has been so good for Hamlin. So here's a stat. The All-Star race, Hamlin finished 12th, and then the following week, he finished the Coca-Cola 600 16th. Here's the stat though. Of the rest of the races that they've run this year, Hamlin has either finished 6th or better or 20th or worse. So that is stark contrast. And I mean, I'm not exactly sure what would cause that, but I think that's kind of like the Kyle Larson idea, right? Where Larson's always either finishing top 5 or winning or wrecking out. Wreckers or checkers. That's basically what Hamlin is doing this season, but it, like I said, it just goes to show how competitive that car is even when he's not winning. Typically if he's not winning, he's either finishing high up or wrecking out. So pretty crazy stuff there for Hamlin. But overall, I do think, you know, this is the last year of them running the championship at Phoenix, at least in the short term. And he's been relatively good at Phoenix for the past few years. Has not won in a few years, but, you know, I look back at the spring race, was it last year? This year's spring race when he loses to Bell on the photo finish. I mean, I wouldn't consider him the best car all day, but he was constantly running up front. And then the spring race, not this year, but the year prior, when Bell also won that race, Hamlin was leading and dominating the first half of that race, and then I think he ends up getting wrecked. So I mean, and the argument, and a lot of argument that'll get made against that is, well, look at the fall races. Penske dominates those races. You can make that argument, but I think if there is ever a time Denny Hamlin is going to win a championship, you're staring at it. I think this is it. This is going to be the best chance he has. So, and we'll see. But this is the problem also for him, and I'm going to get into Christopher Bell here in a second, but Christopher Bell at Phoenix. Wow. He has been probably, in my opinion, the best driver at Phoenix. I mean, that's not controversial. He's been the best driver at Phoenix within the past 2 years. And I don't know if Hamlin can beat him at Phoenix, if I'm being completely honest. We'll see. But am I still saying Denny Hamlin is the title favorite? 100%. Just because I also think, like I said, we'll get into Bell in a second. I don't think the form has necessarily been there for Christopher Bell, but we've seen this kind of before where he kind of starts hot, gets kind of cold, and then really ramps it back up in the playoffs. And, you know, that's kind of what the teams that win the championship do. Just look at Penske. Penske's not always running well the whole year. It's a long year. People got to realize that. It is a very long year. So it is what it is. But the reason I really feel strongly about this being Hamlin's year is because of how good Gibbs has been across the board. Let's get into Christopher Bell. Obviously, it's not been good in recent form, but started off scorching hot. 3 straight wins at Atlanta, Coda, and Phoenix. And yeah, I mean, since then it has significantly cooled off, though in recent weeks it has started to heat back up. However, since they left Nashville, he has only 2 top 10s. They were 2 top 5s. It was a 2nd place in Mexico City and a 5th at Sonoma. So 2 road courses. The oval speed is concerning. The oval speed is certainly concerning. He does have Watkins Glen coming up where he might be able to snag a win. He's obviously won at the Roval before, if I'm remembering correctly, which is obviously a cutoff race in the playoffs. We'll see. I don't know. I think I'm confident the speed will return for those guys because of the tracks that we also have coming up, like, you know, Richmond, New Hampshire. That's in the playoffs. That's a big one for him. So we're gonna see. I think there's plenty of wins still on the table for Christopher Bell in 2025, and I do not think his championship hopes are anywhere near dashed. You just want to see him get into some better form with 5 races to go before the playoffs, for sure. You know, Ty Gibbs, that's another car who is getting really hot right now. One that obviously has not gotten a win, but has certainly got the speed. And let's take a look at, you know, the stats that back that up. Three straight races now that he has finished inside the top 10. Only twice since Talladega has he finished to qualify inside the top, or since Talladega, he's only failed to qualify inside the top 10 twice, which is remarkable. That shows he's got the speed. And here's the other thing, though. People also do have to realize the impact of qualifying this year has been really odd. And your finishing from the week prior matters a lot in qualifying and can have gigantic ramifications. So that's why sometimes I think if we get into some of these and I don't know exactly how Ty Gibbs has really turned this around, but I would not be shocked if it was something along the lines of, okay, for whatever reason we might just stay out in a situation. We're obviously going to get past and we're not going to win the race, but we might finish higher and improve our qualifying position. That could be how this happened. I'm not saying that's for sure how this happened. I mean, the speed's certainly there for sure, so they've certainly found something in the car. But I look at that qualifying speed, and we're going to get into Chase Briscoe and the monstrous qualifying speed he's had. But the qualifying thing, like I mentioned, has been a really big thing this year. And I really want to get deeper into why that might be. Is it the car? I don't know. I don't know. And if it's the car, what is it with the car? I don't know. But no, I think Ty Gibbs obviously is going to the finale of the in-season tournament. That would be huge for him to win. I actually think he probably will win it because I just think he'll run a lot better than Ty Dillon will at Indianapolis. However, as I'm going to record my Indianapolis preview right after this, Ty Dillon in an open car last year finished higher than Ty Dillon finished higher in an open car last year than Ty Gibbs at Indianapolis. So we will see how that'll play out. But $1 million for Ty Gibbs, that'd be great for him. So, yeah, I'm not sure if we'll get the win this year, but the speed is certainly there. And, having speed in all of your cars is a big thing because it allows you to, maybe throw a car out there during qualifying on a different, or during practice on a completely different setup and see if that, takes some weird swings at it. That's something you can do now when you have speed in every single car. And it gives you just so much more information that you can share throughout the team. It's a big deal. It is a huge, huge deal for sure. And then lastly, let's get into Chase Briscoe, who, starting the year was not great. And he admittedly said that he was feeling a lot of pressure, not getting that win and not running as well as his teammates to start the year. But I'm not sure, I think it's the real big turning point was the All-Star race. Since the All-Star race, the speed has been lightning. Absolutely lightning. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but as far as Chase Briscoe is concerned, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he is creeping into potential championship dark horse territory. That car has just been so fast, and in qualifying and how important I just mentioned qualifying is, this has been the best qualifying car in the Cup Series and at any level of NASCAR this year. This car is guaranteed inside the top 10 every single week. He won 3 straight poles after the All-Star race and then has only failed to qualify inside the top 10 at Mexico City since the All-Star race. So, wild qualifying speed. Obviously won at Pocono, and I think he's probably been deserving of some other wins. You could even argue he should have won at Dover with the tire advantage he had at the front of the field on that final restart. But no, I am thoroughly impressed with Chase Briscoe, and I think there's more wins for him on the table in 2025. And yeah, I think this just goes to show how strong that team is, right? Joe Gibbs Racing, that is, as a whole, is, you got Denny Hamlin, you got Christopher Bell running well, and you just kind of throw Chase Briscoe into that 19 car, which the past 2 years has really struggled, and he's really turning it on and showing what that car is capable of. And another aspect of the 19 car is James Small. He was coming into the season on the hot seat, and I don't think as many people were talking about that and the potential of him being out there as much as it probably should have. But now with this recent speed, it's really proving to show that uh, he's really worked something out there. So we'll see what the coming weeks bring for the 19 car. But as long as the finishes keep being there, and as long as the qualifying speed's there, we're looking at a potential championship contender in Chase Briscoe. So we'll see. But the point of all this, and why I started with it, why I think Denny Hamlin's a title favorite, and why we're talking about the state of Joe Gibbs Racing is, when your team as a whole is running really well and is everybody's, and you could even say, okay, well, Christopher Bell's not been running that great. Well, Christopher Bell also started the year with 3 straight wins and was a perennial win contender every single week. That's hard to keep up for a long stretch of time. And we all know how good Christopher Bell is. We know Christopher Bell's going to get more wins this year. So it's kind of like Denny Hamlin taking a 4 or 5 week stretch of bad races. We don't worry about that. But when you have Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs running as well as they are, with Denny running really well, and we know Bell will figure it out, that's why I say this is probably the strongest team in NASCAR at the very moment. You could look across the garage right now. You could say Hendrick. Well, Kyle Larson's been in a slump. William Byron has not won since the Daytona 500. Chase Elliott, apart from the Atlanta win, keeps throwing away races. And Alex Bowman, he's got top 5 speed a lot of the time, but where's the win? So, and I don't see, Penske, yeah, all 3 Penske drivers have won, but they don't have 8 wins in the Cup Series this year. So, this isn't, I'm not reinventing the wheel here by saying this, but like that Gibbs is the best team right now. But I think the context of why I'm bringing this up is the Hamlin title favorite thing. And that's why we're kind of going into this. So I don't think I have anything more else to say on this matter, but I just think it was very interesting to think about. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm about to record my Indy or Brickyard 400 preview, so definitely go ahead and watch that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care and God bless.